We turn now, though, to Israel Defense Forces. They have received the green light to launch a ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. Now, this is after Israel has been pounding Gaza with airstrikes. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, nearly 4,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 12,000 wounded now. Here with us to explain, Eylon Levy. He's an Israeli government spokesperson. Eylon, thank you so much for joining us. What are you anticipating in terms of strategy regarding Israel's ground invasion now in Gaza?
Thank you for having me on the show. Israel has one goal: victory over Hamas. You know, I think many people in the international news perhaps think the story has moved on from the massacre that we saw on October 7th, but Israel is a country that is still mourning and not only identifying the dead, but actually collecting the dead. The situation at the moment is we have over 1,400 people who were murdered in that brutal massacre. There are 203 hostages inside the Gaza Strip. We have between 100 and 200 people who are missing, and we don't know whether they were abducted or whether they were literally turned to ash, because the Hamas terrorists who perpetrated that ISIS massacre literally cremated people while they were still alive. So Israel is a country that is now preparing to destroy Hamas. That is the objective of our campaign, the war that Hamas has forced us into, the war that we are now going to fight to totally destroy the terror infrastructure of the Hamas terror group in the Gaza Strip. That ground operation has not begun. We will act at a time and place of our choosing. We're not shooting from the hip. We're going to act judiciously in order to secure this goal. But that's the situation in Israel tonight, a country 2 weeks on from the massacre, still mourning, still in pain, still identifying the victims, but united around that goal: victory, total victory against Hamas.
Oh, the brutality Hamas has shown has just been absolutely horrific. I wanted to ask you about the hostages in just a moment, but with the military approval, with the approval now of military arms from the U.S., how do you see this impacting the IDF's plan in the region?
Israel really is gratified by the unprecedented international support that we've seen coming from all around the world. I think as countries really realize that Israel not only has a right to defend itself against this brutal terrorism from the October 7th massacre, but also a duty to defend itself. And really, the statement that we heard from the President of the United States saying he'll make sure that Israel has everything it needs so that it can complete this job tells us just how deeply the United States understands the existential necessity of destroying Hamas, that this isn't a campaign just to deter this terrorist group. We can no longer live beside this ISIS-style terrorist group. And for us, it's very important to know that we have the backing of the world's preeminent superpower, our greatest friend, our greatest ally, the United States, because the battle ahead is going to be difficult. It's going to be long. It's going to be hard. We're going to face significant opposition, but we have no choice now. And it's important for us to know that the international community is around us and understands that existential necessity of fighting Hamas, and the moral leadership that the United States has shown in this regard is especially important, because where the United States leads, the rest of the free world follows. And we certainly hope that the rest of the world is going to follow the United States' lead in continuing to stand by Israel's side at our darkest hour now and in the very difficult days ahead.
Well, I know returning these hostages home has been one of the biggest issues since the beginning of the war. So what are the plans? What are the strategies right now that are working in order to get that done? I know that it's probably difficult to go into specifics, but what is the very latest in terms of plans to return them safely?
You know, 203 hostages, perhaps as many as twice as many given all the missing persons, is a shocking number in a country as small as Israel. I mean, we're only 10 million people, and that means everyone in the country knows someone who was abducted or has a family member who was abducted. So this is a story that is affecting everyone here very personally, especially since we know that 30 of those hostages are children, some as young as just a few months old, ripped away from their cots, from their parents' arms. And Israel is demanding their immediate and unconditional return. That is non-negotiable. There is no excuse for ripping babies out of their cots and holding them in captivity as hostages in the Gaza Strip. And we're also demanding that they be given access to the International Red Cross. That's also non-negotiable, as the basic basic point of humanity is that the International Red Cross must have access to our hostages, to inspect them, to check them, to give them adequate medical treatment, to update their loved ones who are sick with worry 2 weeks on about their condition. So we're demanding their immediate and unconditional return. We will do whatever is necessary to bring them home. And in the meanwhile, we're also demanding that the world rally around this demand that they be given basic humanitarian mercy of access to the Red Cross.
Just some heartbreaking stories there. We have about
Truly.
10 seconds left. What do you anticipate the Palestinian response will be to this ground invasion?
We have no illusions that we are going to run into very stiff resistance from a violent jihadi terrorist group that is not going to be pleased by Israel's plans to dismantle it. But Hamas waged war on us. It dragged us into this war, and we will win this war because we have no other choice.
All right. Eylon Levy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.